Hi, today I'm going to talk about high quality literature, why it's important in primary and early childhood, and how the Sugarcane Kids and the Red Bottom Boat is a good example of this. McDonald 23 states that high quality literature means books that are well written with strong language, clear themes, and interesting stories. These books don't just entertain us, they make us think, help us understand other people's feelings, and show us different cultures and perspectives. It's important for children to study high quality literature because it helps them grow as readers and as people. It builds vocabulary, sparks imagination, teaches empathy, and connects their lives to the wider world. The book, The Sugarcane Kids and the Red Bottom Boat by Charlie Archibald, is a story set in a small sugarcane town where a group of kids are fighting to prove the innocence of their friend. Along the way, they face challenges, dangers, and tough choices. This book is a great example of high-quality literature for a few reasons. First of all, the themes explore things such as honesty, friendship, courage, and community responsibility, which are things that fit into the real world of kids today. The characters are real-life children that need to be brave, courageous, and sometimes unsure, just like real kids. The setting, like I said before, is the sugarcane fields and the river, as well as the Australian outback in Queensland. The language written is descriptive and helps students learn and enjoy reading it, which also relates to the curriculum, which the link is posted on the page, because it is engaging characters that are relatable and make real-life choices. The setting is vivid and meaningful. The plot has tension, the mystery of finding out what Ruby is, and keeps the readers hooked. This book works really well as a mentor text, as teachers can use it to show students because of its ability of showing how authors develop characters through choices and dialogue, how setting creates mood and atmosphere, how themes like community responsibility appear in stories, and how good writing uses strong description and realistic dialogue. In conclusion, high-quality literature matters because it helps children learn to read, write, think, and connect with others. The Sugarcane Kids and the Red Bottom Boat is an excellent example of Sugarcane Kids and the Red Bottom Boat is a type of contemporary writing known as contemporary realism. This means the story takes place in a real and recognizable world with realistic characters, believable plots, and everyday language. Contemporary realism often shows family relationships, friendships, and emotional conflicts that feel authentic, stated by McDonald in 2023. So how does this apply to the Sugarcane Kids and the Red Bottom Boat? Well, the main characters, Andy, Eli, Bernie, Fletcher, and Jacob, are ordinary kids. They could easily exist in real life. They face believable challenges such as peer pressure, making moral choices, and depending on their friends. Readers can easily relate to their feelings of fear, loyalty, and responsibility. The setting of this story is set in far north Queensland in a rural sugarcane community, where we read vivid descriptions of the cane fields, rivers, and the tropical climate. This creates an authentic Australian setting in which reflects real community life, culture, and the story relatable and meaningful for readers. The novel deals with themes such as friendship, trust, honesty, courage, and responsibility to family and community. These are real-life dilemmas children face as they grow up, like standing up for what they believe in and trying to uncover the truth at all costs. For example, in the book, the Sugarcane Kids travel down the river into the mangroves where Sebastian lives to find Ruby and uncover the truth about the theft that Jacob has been accused of. At the same time, the book has a strong adventure element. The kids sneak around the cane fields and the mangroves and face threats of Sebastian, the scariest croc, and the suspense comes from not knowing if they'll be we read a story, we bring our own knowledge and experiences with us. This is called a literary repertoire. There are three main types: personal, social, and cultural. First, personal repertoire is about our own life experiences. For example, relating to this book, my own life experiences that I bring to this story are the fact that I've gone to Far North Queensland, so I am aware and understand the setting and the climate that they refer to within the book, and when they talk about crop country and the dry season, I understand what they're referring to, whereas some students who haven't grown up in Australia or haven't gone to Far North Queensland might not understand those concepts. Whereas the second type, social repertoire, comes from the people around us, such as friends, classmates, and communities. So, for example, some students may have grown up in a community where they are very valued and feel like a part of that community, whereas some people aren't used to growing up in big communities where everyone belongs. They're used to being just themselves. And cultural repertoire is about traditions, values, and knowledge from our culture and family. So, for example, in relation to this book, my cultural repertoire is being an Australian and growing up in Australia, so I understand the slang words that they use, such as dunno or mozzie or croc and things like that, like what we use here in Australia, whereas some students might not understand that language as they haven't grown up here. Now we will move on to the literary elements used within this story. So we have got theme, which is relating to the friendships, trust, justice, and courage, which the author also uses techniques of simile, metaphor, and onomatopoeia. So examples of onomatopoeia within this story are tap tap when someone is knocking on the door, or you've got pitter patter when Washington is walking on the boat, or when you've got the sugarcane kids trying to talk to each other in secret, they'll go psst, psst, things like that. Whereas you've got examples of simile when Andy is referring to the river drying up in the dry season, and he says, dry season, the water shrinks into a thin brown stream like a scab, all dried up along the edges. That's a good example of that. We've got mood, which is often mysterious and suspenseful. The setting, which is Far North Queensland, and the protagonists are the main characters. The climax is when they uncover the truth about Ruby and realise that she's not actually a person, it's a boat. The image I created shows Andy's first description of his dad's house. And in this image, there are a few different techniques that I chose to incorporate when creating this image. The first is making sure it was at eye level to make it more personal for the audience, as the description of Andy's dad's house is being given by Andy, so having it at eye level makes it easier for the audience to feel as though they are looking at exactly what Andy is looking at. And in this image, the salience, which is the main, most attention-grabbing part of the image, would be the bright yellow Toyota, which is described to have rust spots on it as it's old, as it is bright yellow, which in colours can sometimes mean warm, cheerful, joy, enlightenment, and light-hearted. So Andy speaks very highly and positively about the Toyota, as well as using the different shades of green to highlight the grass and make that very eye-catching and draw the audience's attention, as to show, like Andy talks about, the long grass on the edge of Andy's dad's house to the mowed, shorter grass in the maintained area of their yard where the house and the bat sanctuary are. This can be found in Callow in 2023. The poem I created based on the book is: beneath the sun where waters flow, the tangled mangrove forests grow. Their roots reach deep, both wide and strong, they hum the tide's eternal song. Crabs and fish find secret space, a sheltered, calm, protected place. The mangroves guard both land and sea, a home for all, wild, safe and free. Examples of poetic meta-language in the poem are examples of imagery where we talk about the roots reach deep, both wide and strong, and such as crabs and fish find the secret space, creating visual pictures of the mangroves for the audience to visualize in their head. Personification is also used when I talk about they hum the tide's eternal song, giving the mangroves a human quality, in this case humming. Alliteration for sheltered, calm, protective place is repetition of the p sound, and safe and free are repetition of s and f sounds. Rhyme was also used at the end rhymes like flow and grow, song and strong, space and place, sea and free, which give rhythm and pattern to the poem. Symbolism is also used, as the mangroves are described as guardians, symbolizing protection for both land and sea, but also in relation to the story, talking about how mangroves are such a big part of the story in when it comes to Ruby, as they have to look in the mangroves to find her, but also talking about earlier on in the book when they first introduced Sebastian, the croc, having the mangrove being a big part of his habitat and it being a safe place for him, but it's also been a safe place as it's kept Ruby covered and protected for all of this time, as the story has been passed down so many times, as Andy's dad was also able to tell the story earlier on in the book. Mood and tone in the poem creates a calm, relevant tone, showing mangroves as powerful yet nurturing. So yes, they're a scary place at the start for the kids, the sugarcane kids, and they're quite nervous going into it. They're not actually as bad as they thought it would end up at the end of the book. And that is my poem that I created, and the examples of the poetic meta-language used within my poem are all found in the Duranka and Jones 2022